Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented by FanDuel. Today is Friday, January 23rd. Can't believe January is already over. We're already nearly into the crunch time of the conference season in college basketball, and Missouri is not going into it with very much momentum right now. Payton, the Tigers just lost 74-72 to Georgia in their last game. They are now 3-3 in conference play after a 3-1 start, and buried very deeply now in the SEC race. Ironically enough, Florida is now leading that at 5-1, with their only loss being to Missouri. Remember when that happened, Payton? All those years ago. It feels like Missouri has struggled these last two games. They fall to Georgia. Dennis Gates was quick to talk about the officiating in this game, which, I will admit was, interesting. When you look at the pure volume of foul calls, there was a scuffle at the end. He didn't have the players shake hands because he was afraid of an altercation. This was a very hotly contested game. No doubt about it. A very physical one. But Missouri comes up short in a game that we had been saying, they kind of had to have. It was also somewhat of an ugly game when you look at the percentages. 37% from the field for Georgia, 40 for Missouri. They both shot 28% from three. Only 15 combined made threes in this game. Not a bad showing from the free throw line for Missouri, 92%. But as Dennis Gates pointed out, they took 12 free throws. Georgia took 21. They made 86% of them. I will bring up the foul stats right away. It was interesting. Just the lack of they really changed how the game was sort of looked at. Georgia had 3 fouls in the first half, 8 in the second half. Missouri had 4 in the first half and 12 in the second half. To me, that, becomes a little bit of an age-old excuse. If you have to blame the refs for why you lost the game, you didn't do enough to win the game. That's the phrase I like to go by. Payton, I'll let you drive this one. Where do you want to go first in terms of flashpoints with this game? A loss that Missouri really did not need to have be a loss here on Monday night at home.
Yeah, and I think that loss is pretty debilitating. I think it kind of kills your chance of making the tournament unless you just scratch off a pretty monumental road upset, I think, to kind of make up for that one. Because, that was a prime put yourself in the tournament win that they had and just kind of bottled it. I truly don't care about officiating at all. This is not a game I thought was poorly officiated. It was a very physical basketball game. They let them play for the most part. I didn't see a lot of fouls that I really disagreed with. There was one on a sloppy-ass pass from T.O. to Mitchell at midcourt that Mitchell had to kind of fight for. He kind of extended his arm or hooked the guy, I guess is what they called. I didn't like that call. But other than that, I didn't really disagree with any of the calls. I think the game had a lot more to do with Missouri's shortcomings. And credit to Georgia. They made some massive, massive plays. They have a lot of players I like. Wilkinson is a great scorer. He torched Mizzou when he was on Cal last year as well. I was impressed with catchings. The numbers aren't fantastic, but I thought he made a lot of big, scrappy plays. Blue Kane going 4 for 16 is awesome.
I was going to say, there's definitely one player you don't like on this team at all.
Yeah, the problem is he had 10 rebounds. That is unbelievable that he got Blue Kane. Blue Kane got 10 rebounds. I don't know how many he's averaging a year or on a game on the year. If you want to check that out quick, Knowlton, but that was egregious to me. This Cyril guy had only one shot attempt in the books, but he made it to the line and as a 50% free throw shooter went 9. He made 9 free throws and had 8 boards, man. And then, like I said, Catchings impressed me. Millender's a big-time player. He was their best player, I thought. Of course, made the game winner because he picked out the weakest link on the court for Missouri and attacked it and was rewarded for it. So credit to Georgia for making the big plays when they needed to. I mean, also the offensive rebounds. Again, I have no idea like why it's gone so by the wayside for Missouri the last few games, but it was like 15-15 each team in offensive rebounds up until that really heinous possession where Georgia grabbed 4 in one possession, torched 58 seconds off the shot clock in a game they were up 2. That cannot happen. They did only win second chance points by 1, so there is that. But also 19 points off turnovers compared to just 10 for Mizzou. Mizzou really, really blew some opportunities in this one. There, I can think of a couple layups that Jaden Stone didn't hit. I can think of a really kind of unsung sequence. I think Mizzou was up 7 at the time. Ant grabbed 2 offensive boards, kicked it out to Stone, I believe, and Cruz was one of them. It was Stone or Pierce on one of them, but the other was Cruz on the same possession where Ant grabbed 2 O boards. They both had wide open looks for 3 to go up 10. Neither of them made them. I think I might be wrong. It was very soon after Georgia went down and hit a 3 to make it a 4-point game. Just missed opportunities. I thought Missouri.
I found it.
Away, what was it?
I believe it wasn't to go up 10. The one I'm looking at, it was 50-52, and he got 2 O boards. They missed.
Who was it?
And then actually Georgia missed, and then Mark Mitchell made that 3 and put them up 5.
You know what I might be thinking of? I might be thinking of when Pierce missed a 3 to go up 10. I might have my wires crossed. He had a corner pocket 3 and did not make it. But again, even with all that, Missouri made a big shot. Cruz, who a lot of the game I thought was really hurting them, made that 3. But Sean Phillips just continues to sink this team. I know there's no other way to put it. I mean, he's a liability. Fouled out in this one. I mean, Fran Fraschilla got everyone's hopes up, saying he was like a crazy athlete. The guy couldn't pick up his feet and move quick enough to stop a 5'11" guard from going to the cup on him. And he looped around the entire paint.
Yeah.
Again, that was Millender. Millender's a great player. Millender was awesome in this game, but that was just unbelievable that happened at that moment in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's, who I kind of turn to individually, and we could talk about Anthony Robinson and that conundrum as well. But yeah, I mean, Phillips, 9 points, 4 or 5 from the field. Like he has some moments offensively, and there are times when they're able to kind of get it to him as a lob target. And that's just kind of it, which is somehow weirdly less than like even what Josh Gray gave you last year. Like it felt like Josh Gray was at least, could be kind of an anchor in the paint. Sean Phillips, it almost looks like when they're putting him, in the restricted circle on defense, it's almost to try and hide him because he can't step out and do anything else. But then even when they funnel it down low, you're right. Like guys just can score around him. And the fact he fouled Millender on that play too, I guess it's not shocking because it's a 7 guy on a 7-foot guy on a 5'11" guy. But yeah, that just can't happen. I mean, that has to, he has to be your best rim protector, and he's just not. And he doesn't really bring it on the glass either, which is just very baffling. Even though, again, I don't think Missouri's a bad rebounding team. You're right to point out, it'd be tied on the O boards if they didn't give up 4 of them on one possession, which, again, inexcusable, shouldn't happen, especially in a close physical game like that. But yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is, because I don't think you can stick Mark Mitchell down there because he's going to get into foul trouble. I think you need to be able to use him in different ways on defense. But yeah, they just have, it's not no rim protection, but a guy who on both ends of the floor, even when he does go 4 for 5, it still feels like there's just some weird missed shots with him. And it feels like he's sometimes just holding the ball too long, even though the stats like
it's because they dump the ball to him all the time.
Yeah.
He just gets so many touches. And we thought Josh Gray got too many touches in the offense. I mean, this is another level.
And yet still like also only goes to the free throw line once. Like he was just 1 for 1 from the line. So, they get it into him and he's like, it's like a weird, like just nothing happens. He doesn't necessarily turn the ball over, but he's not, making shots or missing shots, but he's also not getting fouled and the offense just kind of stalls. So yeah, it's a problem with him for sure. And, I'd like to see Missouri, matched up so well against Florida and did a good job against Kentucky, who, didn't necessarily have the horses down low and the tenacious rebounding that Missouri showed in that game. They really needed to do that again against a Georgia team that clearly wanted it on the glass. I mean, you talked about Kane with the 10 rebounds. Cyril, he's a big, he goes up and gets 8, but Catchings was 7. Like, I just don't know if that effort was all the way there, and probably needed to be so a little bit more. I didn't say Blue Kane's numbers. He's 5.4 on the year. That is
more than I would have expected.
That is second on the team. Catchings is third at 5.1. But I don't know. That might be a little bit nitpicky, but that seems like it has to be Missouri's identity. Because Payton, you go to some of this offensive skill stuff. I mean, this team flat out can't make threes. It doesn't feel like. I mean, 28%. They go 7 of 25 on the game. Your typical 3-point shooters have been struggling. Jaden Stone was 2 for 6 in this game. Jacob Cruz was 3 for 7. I don't even want to lump Anthony Robinson in there anymore, but he was 0 for 4, so he doesn't help you at all. Jacob Cruz did make a huge 3, but this team can't shoot, which is not characteristic of a Dennis Gates team. I think we can say that pretty definitively at this point. It doesn't feel like it's, a hot and cold team. I just don't think it's a good 3-point shooting team.
It's a very kind of antithesis to what we're used to from Dennis, because they honestly are a defense first team, but then you feel like most of the time they don't come up with the big stops when they need. They did in Kentucky because Kentucky just fired up a terrible shot at the end. But I mean, I'm kind of with you. It just feels like things don't click at the same time. Missouri was making 3-pointers by the end, finally starting to string buckets together a bit, and then they can't get a stop on the other end. I mean, Georgia had like this. There was a sequence where Missouri was kind of clinging to the lead. They were up like 2 or 4. Dennis actually, I think, puts the best 5 that played in this game in. And they just couldn't do their job. They couldn't get a stop. They couldn't make a shot. And then you're kind of playing catch up again, trying to steal a win at the end, and just couldn't get enough stops down the stretch. And it's not even like the conventional, like, good things we've seen from Dennis's defense, which is not much in the past. Like, they're not turning teams over all a ton. They're not really getting out in transition as much. I feel like this has been the worst transition offense we've seen under Gates.
Probably transition defense too. I mean, like they get back and get set up, but you're right. It's not the same kind of like jumping into passing lanes and playing with those active hands type defense.
Yeah. And again, a lot of that's because Ant has just not been what he needs to be. The point guard play in general, I just have not been a fan of at all. I mean, from Barrett or Ant. I mean,
well, so that's kind of the next place I think to go with this is that, like, part of creating good offense is you have guys who can do that. And yeah, Missouri does not have those two options. I mean, we've said it for multiple shows now. Anthony Robinson is 9 of 33 in his last 6 games from the field. He's made 1 3 in that time. He doesn't give you the scoring. He only had 1 assist. T.O. Barrett did have 3, but even he, still feels pretty shaky. And you talked about the tunnel vision. I mean, that's a huge problem for this offense. I don't think there's a guy you trust running it right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Barrett, the numbers paint an okay picture. I mean, 3 assists isn't fantastic for a point guard that played 28 minutes, but didn't turn it over as much as he nearly does or has this year. Grabbed 6 boards. So I mean, he did some good things, but how many times on an offensive possession when it's Barrett running the show do we just watch bounce, 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 drive to the rim, kick out maybe, or just a crummy shot, and that's the end of the possession. It's just a lot of bounciness, like a lot of dribbling, not a lot of off-ball movement. It just feels so static. And then Barrett at times just totally gets set into, I'm going to drive and try and just take a tough shot. And he's capable of doing that on occasion, but it also makes you a very easy scout for these teams. I mean, he is not capable right now of hitting jumpers at all, really, from any, which is funny because he's a pretty good free throw shooter, but he's just not capable of making jump shots. I mean, Northweather in one of his 2 minutes had got the ball in the corner, kind of did a nice pump fake, started driving towards the paint instead of going up for a contested layup, which I'm okay with because Georgia's a very good shot blocking team. He kicks it out to Barrett, who's wide open on the wing, and he draws front iron. It's just, and again, I don't want to dog on T.O. too much because he's been the better point guard the last 2 weeks. I mean, Ant has just not even like, he's either been a ghost or he's just been flat out bad. And it's really hurting Missouri because Mark Mitchell cannot be Superman all the time. He had 18 points in this game, but eventually teams just clue in on him. You know, Cruz and Stone down the stretch kind of took some of the weight off him. They did make a few shots, but they need Ant to get going. It has to be Ant as Mitchell's co-star. That is just when Missouri is going to be at its best. And he is just in a terrible rut right now. And I'm not really sure how to break him out of it. I think Dennis said he wants him to get to the line more. And credit to Ant. I mean, he's been showing somewhat of a willingness to try and drive and draw contact. But in a game like yesterday where it was just very physical, you're not going to get as many calls as you probably want. It's not going to make matters any better.
Yeah, T.O. Barrett has the weird conundrum of, you're right. I mean, he's not going to create his own 3-point shot, and that just limits him so much in terms of like self-creation, and I feel like that inherently makes it harder to create for others because like you don't have to respect him from the outside. He can't really stretch a defense on his own. I just like, he's so hard to trust to run the offense right now. And you're right, it's weird because the numbers aren't that bad. And so you hope that kind of can foster some growth. But in terms of this season, like, yeah, I mean, that guy can't be your lead guard on a tournament team right now. I think he can still be effective. And you're right, it has to be Anthony Robinson. Yeah, I don't know. I have no answer. I wish I did. The 3-pointer has totally failed him. He's taking a higher volume of shots, a lot higher volume of shots than last year, and he's missing way more. All of his other numbers are about the same, even, you know, down to his fouls and his rebounding. His defensive numbers are actually still the same, even though this is a Missouri team that doesn't feel like it's that it's, you know, getting a lot of those high volume turnover games as much. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe is it a way you put him and T.O. out there together and try and, you know, use him off ball? I don't know if I don't think he's
I feel like they've tried that and he just becomes even more of a non-factor.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know what it is.
Out.
I don't know what it is. And it's going to have to be figured out quick because, again, guys like Jacob Cruz and Jaden Stone, they're specialists. They are good at some stuff, but they are not taking over a game for you and winning it on both ends in the same way that like Mark Mitchell and Anthony Robinson frankly can and have shown at times this year and before. Did Trent Pierce need to play more for you? 8 points. He was 3 for 8 from the field. You know, there's kind of it was an off night for everyone shooting, but I know people were kind of annoyed, especially on that last play of the game, that he was not in for that.
On the last play of the game, I was shocked he wasn't in because,
Yeah.
Cruz had just made that three. It's a possibility you're going to go for the 3-pointer there, which Dennis, I think, said T.O. had the option of driving or passing out to the three. I don't remember the exact quote, which that's a whole separate issue with 5.5 seconds. He's kind of jogging, kind of looking in between what he wants to do, T.O. Barrett. But nonetheless, I thought Pierce needed to be in at that point because it's going to keep defenses way more honest. When they got the ball to Cruz, he had to fire up like a 40-footer. It felt like it was so far away, and there were 3 people on him. They knew where the ball was going.
Yeah,
they absolutely knew. Honestly, Mike White, I think, really got the better of Dennis on those last 2 possessions because he came out of that out of timeout. He had a perfect play drawn up to beat Dennis Gates, like the zone that Missouri was in. Dennis Gates had to get the timeout. I'll give him credit for that. He realized immediately what was about to happen. But then the very next play, they just draw something up to hunt the weakest link on the floor, and it works to perfection. Dennis Gates doesn't have a timeout to draw anything up, which I'm sure he had gone over the scenarios in the timeout before, but I think it's always better to be able to use the timeout and then really draw something up. But then on the other end, Georgia knows exactly what you're trying to do. And I think having Pierce out did not help that. There were also some other moments where I just felt like Cruz heated up right at the end. He made some really big shots. But, man, there was a lot of this game where it felt like he was hurting them a lot. 3 fouls. It would not shock me if all of them put whoever it was on the line. It just wasn't. I thought the usage of Pierce wasn't what I would have done. I'm not going to complain too much about it, other than I do think there's not really an excuse to not have him in on that last possession.
It's kind of bad. We also, speaking of like getting hot late, it's probably bad we've gone nearly 22 minutes and haven't brought up the fact that this team went 7 minutes and 19 seconds without scoring a point in the first half. That also is not going to win you.
Somehow we're only down 3 after that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with LSU when they started so poorly and were able to work. And again, it speaks to kind of this team's defense, and they don't. You can't knock them for a lack of effort. They're trying. In other aspects of the game, like they crash the boards well, they defend well, even when the shots aren't going in, which is what you love to see. There's so many teams I see like their heads drop when they go on a little cold spell and the other parts of the game fall by the wayside. Missouri doesn't do that, but yeah, they have to figure out a way to manufacture different forms of offense, and it's going to be tough because I think the personnel kind of hinders that inherently, and that's where it comes down to Dennis having to be smarter in terms of who he has on the court, what matchups he can try to exploit. But yeah, when Anthony Robinson has disappeared in the way he has on offense, he was a guy who you were going to trust to really carry a load. My last 2 things. One, did you know that Mark Mitchell's listed as a guard on ESPN? I just learned this looking at some stats.
Can't say I think that's what he plays.
And then I was trying to find a good comparison for like what T.O. Barrett, like what a better version of T.O. Barrett could be, with just how he scores and what he can and can't do. And I'm drawn to a guard, and Missouri has yet to play this team, and I'm going to be curious to see how he does when they do. Dylan Swain from Texas, Payton. He starts for them. He's at 15 points a game, but he's only 26.2% from 3. Takes a lot of shots inside the arc, 75% free throw shooter, gets like 3 assists a game. Difference between him and T.O. Barrett is he's 6'8", T.O. Barrett's 6'4". But for how T.O. Barrett rebounds, that kind of doesn't affect him, and he can still score inside. So maybe that's a ceiling player for T.O. Barrett. That's my experiment for this
Certainly
show.
Take that.
Any other thoughts on this one? Things we missed? Missouri plays.
Well, it was a pretty debilitating one.
Yeah.
I think they're going to gonna have to pick one off here that I don't think we gave them much of a chance to get. Because again, I don't think 9 wins is definitely not going to do it. I don't think 10 will be enough. I think you got to get to that 11 number to really give yourself a chance. So that means you got to go out and play 8-4 ball the rest of the way, in my mind.
Our good friends over at FanDuel have them at plus 158 to make the tournament. So yeah, the odds makers don't love it. Some of the bracketologists still do, which will continue to be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I don't really either. Up next, it's Oklahoma. Simply a must-have. Again, it's at home Saturday, 1 p.m. You have that and then a midweek against Alabama, which just might have to be that game that you mentioned on the road against a top 20 team that you almost have to steal if you want a chance. So we'll see how it goes first and foremost on Saturday. Oklahoma is 11-8. They are 1-5 in SEC play. So you go back to that LSU game. They're going to be desperate. They beat Ole Miss. They've lost to Mississippi State, A&M, Florida, Bama, and Carolina since then. So that's going to be a hungry Oklahoma team coming into your building. You simply can't allow them to win. So we'll see how Missouri does. That'll do it for me and Payton. We'll kick it to you and Kenny, who are going to talk transfers, a couple of corners, exciting stuff for Mizzou football. We'll come back in a moment.
And now for something completely different.
All right, we've got the two-man unwritten rule continuing. We'll finish with all three of us with quick hits, but Kenny is here to talk some transfer portal news. We're keeping the train going with these discussions, despite my making the graphic saying the transfer portal was now closed, kind of. Of course, we are now past the January 20th, Kenny, correct? Deadline for people to enter the portal?
No, the deadline was the 16th is when you could put in your paperwork. Wednesday, which was the 21st, was the 2 business days following this past Friday, because Monday was a holiday with Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So that puts it Wednesday night was like the final time that schools could enroll people or push people into the transfer portal, which we'll have a guy to talk about later. And I think it's 3 days after. So it should be today or tomorrow morning is the last time that the players that were from Indiana and Miami can enter the transfer portal. And then they can try to find a new school as well.
Yeah, of course, because they get that a little bit extended with being in the national championship. That is a quick hit, by the way. I want to talk about that game. Shout out. Monday nights are the worst. Games are the worst for our shows because we have to wait 6 days to talk about them. But I do want to bring that game up. But Mizzou, since we've last chatted, went out and made a big splash in the portal. Not necessarily a shock. This is someone that has been, it seems, pretty heavily linked to Mizzou from some time, but it is a position that Mizzou desperately needed, and that is corner. And they went out and got Chris Graves Jr. from Ole Miss. Very talented corner for Ole Miss last year, played a lot. In fact, he had 33 tackles, 4 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. PFF grades, his coverage grade, which is probably the most important to some if you're a corner, 65.7. He did have a 73.9, Kenny, against Miami in that playoff game. So that was his best grade of the season. So saved one of his better performances for last. This is a really nice ad here in a position that we've been saying Mizzou has needed pretty darn badly, the cornerback spot. And they go out and get Graves. What do you make of this one? Obviously felt a little bit long in the making for those, kind of plugged in, so to speak.
Yeah, I think he's a funny guy. I talked to him after he announced his commitment on Tuesday to Missouri, and I always like players that call you by your first name, or even just your name in general, even if they throw a last name. But he did call me Kenny, and I always liked that. And it just seemed like he was a good, character for the room. He's going to have 1 year of eligibility remaining, and the pitch you kind of heard was you're going to come in and be the guy. With a one high safety is what Missouri's defense kind of shows sometimes with just, because there's the extra DB on the field that's going to probably play in the slot or be that roving guy at the star. it offers Chris Graves a lot of opportunities for one-on-one matchups and, being that guy and more opportunities. And he really liked that. He had opportunities and offers to be a starter, be a contributor at schools like Ohio State and Tennessee, he said. And when you look at the visit to Georgia Tech and he visits Mizzou, it made a lot of sense that, he was probably leaning towards the Tigers. Austin Simmons, he did admit, played a part. They play on two different sides of the field, but they were still, had a good, connection there for when Chris Graves visited this past weekend. I think it's a very good pickup. The cornerback position was the one that Drinkwitz even slipped up on signing day, saying that Missouri was going to need at least two. I think they got four. Dotson might move to the safety spot just because of how loaded a lot of this secondary kind of looks now with, a lot of experience, but some younger guys that will definitely be in that rotation as well. Overall, I think it was a very, very strong pickup. And there's guys on this roster where they don't really have to turn to the transfer portal right away next year. I think that's a smart thing that Missouri put its spot in, is that last year in the second transfer window as well, they were looking for guys who checked off boxes of being a starter, but also having multiple years of eligibility. Of course, Chris doesn't check that off with only 1 year left, but he does have experience in the SEC. He started at Miami as well. He has connections throughout the program that aren't just Austin Simmons. He knows Kinsley Faustin, who's coming over from Auburn, who's going to be in that secondary with him, and he's going to be an all-around DB, so they'll be working together. He knows Derek Nicholson from Miami. He knows Sabbath Joseph from Miami. Sabbath Joseph, the assistant defensive line coach who helps recruit Florida guys as well, and Derek Nicholson, the linebackers coach. So a lot of familiarity there, and I think it's just, it's a big get for Missouri because it just checked off, that last kind of box that you needed in that secondary.
Yeah, so if you look at those two kind of corners now, I mean, Deloach is going to be in the mix, but you get the kid from Oregon. Is it Laula? Is that how you say his last name? Sion Laula?
Yeah, I think I forget if it was on this show or yeah, I think we did this where we looked it up and I got the pronunciation correct, but it's going to be something that we continue to try to remember as we get through it.
That will continue to butcher probably until fall camp when, he makes an impact. But you get him over from Oregon and then Graves from Ole Miss. I mean, these are two 2026 guys. Deloach is 2027. What did you
I mean, don't forget Jaleel Florence. Florence was the first commitment, is another Oregon guy. He's going to be in that mix. So those are your top four cornerbacks. I think that's what makes the most sense that Elijah Dotson might be moving to safety. He did have the versatility at Michigan. We still just have his cornerbacks until, Drinkwitz or the Missouri staff kind of announces it, or just Missouri in general announces what that position will look like. We got other guys in that room too, with Cameron Keyes, who's been, highly talked about. So hopefully, if you're looking for guys to stick around, Deloach will be in that mix with Sione coming over from Oregon, along with Jaleel Florence and then Chris Graves. And you can rely on Jaleel Florence and Nicholas Deloach in the 2027 season with two guys expiring eligibility. And then you're also looking at Cameron Keyes. You're probably going to look at just one more, impact transfer, because it just feels like, every position group could use just an experienced guy just to come in, no matter, their skill set or their skill level. And I think you're kind of moving in the right direction with Al Pogue's group.
Yeah, I think, if I forgot about that with Florence and the potential move to safety with him, I think if that is going to happen in the immediate
with Dotson.
Sorry, Dotson, not Florence. With Dotson coming in, that is a nice top four group. I think you're right, just with that next guy being Cameron Keyes, and then just even looking at the scholarship chart, the next three guys are all true freshmen. One of them we're going to talk about in a second, but I think you're right. I think one other, maybe even if it's an upside bet, younger guy that you bring in just for some depth, I think would be good. But I think now you feel very revitalized, kind of at the top of that depth chart with guys like guys like Graves and Sion. I think it's Sion. I'm more comfortable. I feel more safe saying his first name than his last name, weirdly, at the moment. But those two guys, and then weirdly now it's flipped where you look at safety and, like you said, you might have Dotson moving over there, but he's still young. But you've got Banner, Greco, and Louis-Dor Faustin from Auburn, who are all have 2 years of eligibility remaining, and we went from a room that I think we were feeling more comfortable about, and then Marvin Burks transfers, and now that room gets a little bit younger, a little bit less experienced. But do you think maybe there's another ad there, or do they or do you feel good about that room if you're Mizzou, I guess, safety wise? I'm kind of in between when I look at it, at least on the scholarship chart.
Yeah, if once we move Dotson over, if that's the case, if he's going to be looked at as safety, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
They like Jackson Hancock. They really like CJ Bass. That was a big get to just not let him enter the transfer portal after it was, reported that he was planning on it. Jadon Blair is a massive pickup as well, just for the future of that safety position. I don't know how much of a role he'll have this next year, but you want to keep him on the field so he doesn't, leave like he left Notre Dame. But he's a very high upside guy, and he's got a lot of talent and athleticism for that spot. Kinsley Ludor-Falston's going to play, all over that secondary. He talked about it just being an all-around DB. I think you're in a fine spot with the secondary. You don't have any guys that will expire eligibility this next year. You got guys that will probably most likely stick around, and Greco's flashed, a good amount. He's played, in over 4 games, his freshman and sophomore year respectively. It's been kind of just the wait and see until he can get an opportunity, because there's been a lot of safeties in this room, and they really attacked it last year in the transfer portal. I like Santana Banner a lot. I think he's very physical. He plays with a chip on his shoulder of, he was a guy that just didn't have a star coming out of high school. He even made a joke because someone back rated him, which they went in and put a rating on him, and he was confused why that's even allowed. And but I think all around, I think you got a good group of just different abilities in that safety room. I don't think you necessarily have this big standout maybe like you did. I wouldn't say in 2025 there was a safety that was really calling my name and saying this was going to be the best guy, but I think you go back to Dalen Carnell in 2024 and 2023, and I'm not going to, slight Dalen for 2025, but I think it's safe to say he was a massive impact in that 2023 and 2024 season. I'm interested to see if someone can break through and be that guy, because just on paper, I think there's a lot of, talent in this room. I just don't know who could be that guy yet. I think if Elijah Dotson's him, if he's going to be the one that's going to break through and be that player, I think you're on cloud 9 if you're Missouri and if you're Jacob Yoro.
Yeah, you're right too, and I shouldn't probably underrate what Banner and Greco kind of have done, and especially you talk about there's a lot of opportunities for someone to burst forward and be the guy. There's a lot of positions to do so too. I mean, you mentioned just the way Missouri plays. To me, it's who kind of steps up and takes kind of that nickel role. I think that's just becoming so much more important on the field, and obviously with Carnell, you had a guy who was kind of an anchor there for Mizzou for so long. So we'll see who kind of slots into that. I know we've talked about a few names, but actually seeing them do it will be, of course, a different story. But I'm excited for that as well. Corner room feels a lot better. If there's one need Mizzou's answered, I think in this portal window. I know for some it's felt a little bit more disappointing maybe when you look at the ranking and stuff like that, but I think to get your quarterback and to get I'm not saying Mizzou is by any means done here, but they address 2 positions of great import, Kenny.
I just got it. Sione Laulea.
Laulea. See, I wasn't even close, but I had Sione right. Listen, Sione, you are welcome on the show anytime.
You said Sione, so you're not going to get any credit for this one.
Sione.
Laulea.
I'm still screwing it up. Laulea. Well, Mr. Laulea, you can come on the show anytime. And, at the end, we'll just have you say your name a million times. We'll be burning our brains. On the high school front, Kenny, we talked about there was one guy in the corner room who's been added. A couple of late additions on the prep side. 2 guys out of the state of Missouri. One of them, a corner, Treshundon Neal. He was rated the number 61 corner, a 3-star recruit out of Liberty North High School by 24/7 Sports. And then a wide receiver, Carson Fiend, not the Travis Scott song, the wide receiver. I had to do it. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
I think it's fine. I haven't asked him, but a parent did say to me yesterday when I was talking to someone, they called him Fine. When I said,
okay, well, scratch.
Maybe they weren't talking about his play. They were probably just saying his last name.
Right. Hopefully, I was going to say, I'm sure he wants his play to be better than fine, but he comes into the wide receiver room. Feels like 2 very long-term project options here, Kenny, but both of them in the class of 2030. That just feels still hard to say. That I'm looking
final
at
year of eligibility would be 2030. Graduation, it would be 2029. We just put it at 2030 because they can all earn a red shirt. You just don't know if they're going to burn it or not. I'll start with Carson Fine. The Missouri really needed, I wouldn't say really needed, but really wanted a third wide receiver. They looked at a couple of guys, late into the cycle. We're still trying to chip away. They offered Carson in the middle of December. He lined up an official visit the same weekend as one of his teammates too, Parker Hatfield, who's one of those, who was a running back as well with Carson Fine and the Lee Summit team that won the 6A Misha State Championship over Nixa in December. So they know how to win. They started off 0-4 in their senior season and came back and won the whole thing. They had a three-headed monster. Wow. Hatfield has a twin brother who committed to Missouri Western. He was also part of that elite offense. Those guys just earned opportunities really late. And Hatfield's one that they're still waiting on a decision on. I talked to him. He said he's going to have to make a decision pretty soon. He liked the plan at Missouri Western, but when you get an offer and a scholarship from your in-state school, and if you understand the plan is to come in, and I don't necessarily like the word project sometimes. I think they kind of understand that their role will be limited at first. You have to develop, you have to earn that spot. You've seen guys like Logan Muckey come in. Maybe Logan Muckey would have been a scholarship guy if the limit was pushed to 105, and but he still would have been in a spot where he had to develop and earn his opportunity on special teams and be one of those depth wide receivers. I could see this for a lot of these guys. When you expand the roster limit, you're offering a lot of opportunities to in-state kids that wouldn't have had a scholarship in a world where you only had 85 scholarships in the SEC. So I think that's a big deal for guys like Carson Fine, guys like Trishunda Neal, who wouldn't have had this opportunity last year. Most likely, they probably would have gone to a school where they actually had an offer and a scholarship. You don't have to worry about paying to go play football. And Carson was committed to Northwest Missouri State, so he did flip his commitment. And I saw someone say to me, "Is does that even count as a commitment flip?" And I was like, "He never decommitted. I guess it still counts as a flip." But
craving flipness.
These are two guys that will be on campus in the summer. Signing day is February 4th. That's the regular signing day. They're not the early one for football. And you probably won't hear their names much to start, but if things work out, if they develop right, they'll have 5 years of eligibility to try to make an impact at Missouri. And I think that probably goes a long way for some of these in-state kids that are just looking for that opportunity in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be an underrated, good thing. You have way more roster spots than you're probably ever going to need, really, these days. And so, yeah, you give a kid an opportunity. I still think deep down, maybe this is wishful thinking that the true that, these are kind of can be situations where it is kind of the true student athlete mantra. Even, if he gets a limited opportunities, that's an experience that is going to be very important for their growth and whatnot. And then, yeah, who knows? I mean, you put more guys in the room. I mean, shoot, Cody Schrader is living proof of that some of these kids, that very much prove that the ratings don't necessarily matter, and that you didn't get an offer until late in your senior year doesn't necessarily matter, and you can go out and prove it. So we'll see what they're made of. I'll tell you though, this means no more excuses that there's not any scholarship quarterbacks not available anymore when 4 of them get hurt in the season. Because my goodness, I don't I don't think that should that.
We lost Jack there for a second. I'll pick it up. Good podcasting by me to pick up that from Jack. Yeah, I think we'll have a better understanding of it, Jack, next year as well. Once we know how the roster kind of shakes out, because there was an offer thrown out to Graham Faust, who's a Missouri legacy. His dad, Vic, played tight end for the Tigers in the 1990s on the Brock Olivo and in Ron Jane's teams. And I think we'll have an understanding of because every year it's always changing. I always get questions about, where is Mizzou football recruiting going? Is it going to be production over potential? You saw it in the transfer portal this year. There was a lot of potential over production. And it's just going to be constant changes in the transfer portal and in high school recruiting. And you're going to continue to recruit high schoolers. And no one can say it doesn't matter when Drinkwitz is going out and visiting his top wide receiver targets right now. He was in Chicago. He was in Kansas City. Went to see Jack Brown, who's the top tight end target for Missouri, top in-state recruit in St. Louis. It's going to be forever changing, and we'll see how it shakes out and how they'll kind of look at that quarterback spot, because you can probably go out, get a national guy that you really like in the next couple classes. You also can keep a guy home. You can also try to find your next Brady Cook. We like to say, we don't say we like to say, but we have said the Brady Cooks are probably of the past. I think there's a bigger opportunity to have another Brady Cook at this point. There's going to be someone out there in the state of Missouri that's going to be similar to him of, wanting to play for the Tigers if he does get that scholarship.
Yeah. And then, the other part then is having the patience to break through rather than entering the portal after a season or two, which, like you said, some of these kids are going to have that, but we'll see. So 2 more ads for Mizzou on the high school front before we go to quick hits. The last thing is kind of in the transfer portal, Kenny. 2 guys that, again, for those, kind of paying attention will know these guys have been linked to Mizzou. Another guy out of Ole Miss, a guy Austin Simmons has thrown the football to, Caden Lee, the wide receiver. And then some news emerging about a potential visit being scheduled or potentially being scheduled for Malik Bryant, edge rusher out of Miami. Your thoughts or any more on the latest with those 2? Those feel like that would be, 2 more really nice ads at a couple positions of need for Mizzou.
Yeah, if you're on social media, you've seen a lot of the connections of Caden Lee. It feels like the worst kept secret at this point. He's going to be visiting Missouri, expected to visit here on Thursday when we're recording this. So maybe we'll get some news tonight or tomorrow if he's going to commit to Missouri. Better not commit around 1:30. I'm getting a haircut. If you're watching with us on YouTube, you've noticed it is too long.
What time?
1:30.
1:30
So,
Friday.
Yeah, so don't do that. Then they call him Honeycomb. I think that would be funny if I was getting a haircut when the guy that's known for his hair commits to Missouri, and I'm not allowed to help post everything with Kyle over at Mizzou today. But nonetheless, this would be, a good slot option for Missouri. A lot of familiarity with Austin Simmons. The 2 options that are being heavily reported is that he would go back to Ole Miss if Trinidad Chambliss received another year of eligibility. He is in the legal system going through that. And it's going a lot faster than many expected. There was a lot of, people hesitant about it, saying it might take, a couple weeks. It could take a couple months. No one really knows about when Trinidad could be cleared, and it's speeding up pretty fast. So
isn't that funny, Kenny, by the way? You hear so many things about how in the, the legal system can drag its feet, but all of a sudden college football is involved and these hearings and things happen so quick. Funny how that goes.
A lot more money involved too. I think that's why some of these move pretty fast. And there's some ties there as well. But yeah, with
you made there, that's yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get an answer by the time this episode's even finished editing. Jack, I don't know where Caden Lee will be going, or if he's going to, go back to Ole Miss or commit and sign with the Missouri Tigers, because I don't have it in front of me and I keep forgetting the date, but it is approaching on the drop classes date on, when you can officially set your schedule and enroll at the University of Missouri. So it is coming up. But that's kind of like the what to know about Caden Lee. With Malik Bryant, he entered the transfer portal with a do not contact tag, according to On3's Pete Nakos. Missouri is the clear team to watch right now for Malik Bryant. He's listed as a linebacker, but he would be coming in as an edge rusher. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining because he could get a medical red shirt from this past season, and he has 1 more year of eligibility. So that would be a good thing to be, a good spot to be in for that edge room. He does have familiarity, just like we talked about earlier with some of these guys from South Florida. He's from Orlando. He played in Orlando at Jones. He played in IMG. He knows Derek Nicholson. He knows Sabbath Joseph, 2 guys that were on staff at Miami. So familiarity there. If it all works out, I think that would be a good pickup and another strength to that edge room. And I did have the date wrong earlier. It's until Saturday. So it's Tuesday through Saturday for the 5-day window for Indiana and Miami players to enter the transfer portal.
So Bryant, I guess a quick little overview. He only played in the 2 games. Like Kenny said, he got hurt, 2 tackles. Did have 77 tackle grade. So, it was good in those 2 games. 2024, 160 snaps, 58.6 tackle grade, 91.5 coverage grade, and an 80 defensive grade overall from PFF. So there's a little bit more on him. So a couple more names to watch. That those would be definitely 2 big ads. And yeah, Caden Lee, 130. Put that pen to paper, apparently, or don't, depending on how much you like Kenny.
I got my first time when I moved to St. Louis, I was getting a haircut in April. So it was like, I think a month and a half in, and Gavin Sidwar committed. And I like, Aaron was so upset with me because I go to the place that our friend Aaron, I go to the place where she gets her hair done, and I canceled my what is
Your
it? My
appointment?
my appointment. Yeah, I just canceled it on my way there. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I pulled over and I posted everything. And I was like, I'll just go next week. I was like, I felt so bad, but I was like, I'm not missing this. This is the quarterback commitment.
Right.
He ended up being the longest tenured commit, and I got a lot of good stories out of Gavin throughout the time, and I do appreciate him for that.
There you go. It's made up for it. Made up for maybe Aaron getting some guff from the salon appointment. Why is your friend not showing up? Yeah, there's never a good time, really. I'll never forget landing at the airport when I was covering Alabama when Calipari left Arkansas, and then it was oh my God, or left for Arkansas, and it was NATO. It's going to take the Kentucky job. Spoiler alert, he didn't. But that was a nervy time. All the alerts popping up on the phone after you go out of airplane mode. That'll do it for transfer portal. When we come back, we'll have the three of us. Maybe we're a little behind the curtain. We're recording this, and then we're gonna jump into quick hits right after. Payton's not here yet, so might have to give him a cutoff time, Kenny. I don't know. Maybe we have to be mean to him. Yeah, TikTok. All right, we'll be right back. All right, quick hits time. As promised, Payton is here, along with Kenny and I. He beat the buzzer. Jerseys of the week, Kenny.
My jersey of the week goes to Curtis Pegler, interior offensive lineman for Missouri. This one took a while for Missouri to announce. They posted these for like pretty much everyone on the roster. But the new way, the Mizzou way, re-signing Curtis Pegler, I believe was the last one. We can go check real quick if you're watching with us on the YouTube. Yeah, last one, because the other ones they posted since are transfer signings. So Curtis Pegler will be returning for his final year of eligibility.
Officially official.
Yeah, I remember thinking it like someone had brought it up that they hadn't announced that. It was kind of interesting, especially with Owens coming onto campus, but no late drama or anything. I think it's good that they have him back in the fold. Hopefully there's some good competition on the O-line.
Indeed. Payton, your jersey of the week.
My jersey of the week is going to go to Charles Bediako.
You mean the Spurs player?
That's what I'm saying. Why did I choose him as as jersey? Because he's literally wearing a damn Spurs jersey in this graphic. The news here, I'm sure everyone that hasn't been living under a rock has seen it. Charles Bediako, despite literally, he's been on two-way contracts, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes, he has.
He has been granted a temporary restraining order and is immediately eligible to participate for Alabama basketball. He was a professional basketball player for Motor City Cruise of the G League. We've gone completely off the rails. At least the argument with Najee to Baylor, which I still didn't agree with, was that he hadn't actually ever signed a professional NBA contract. There's nothing. This is unbelievable. I mean, this guy legitimately last played college basketball when us three were in college. Okay? We've been out of college, out of Mizzou, for 3 years. That's insanity. I mean, literally Dennis Gates' first year is when this guy last played college basketball. Completely off the rails, completely ridiculous. He's apparently going to play against Tennessee this weekend. What a joke is pretty much all I have to say. I mean, it really is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have a fair amount of thoughts here too. I won't spend all of them out. I mean, it's an example of, do I think it's bad for the sport? Sure. Am I going to fault a team for taking advantage of a bad system to try and gain an advantage? I don't know how I can do that. It does suck. I don't think that players should be able to do this. But the fact of the matter is they're allowed to, and they're allowed to, game these systems because there was no guardrails put in place. I feel like a broken record every time something like this happens, but again, I think we've done this off air. It made me think about who possibly for Mizzou could come back and play, who's signed a professional contract. Like the system is there to be gamed. Alabama's going to try to game it, and it looks like they're going to be successful, at least for a little bit. It is interesting. His temporary injunction does end on January 27th. He has another hearing. And the 27th is the day Alabama plays Mizzou at home in Coleman Coliseum. So it'd be interesting to see if he suits up for that game. I'm not sure what it looks like being the day of. But yeah, there you go. Kenny pulled up the tweet if you're watching on the YouTube. DeAndre Golston, very funny, said, "Forget it. I'm going back to college, recruitment open." And yeah, I'd take DeAndre Golston back in a heartbeat. I don't think he had any actual eligibility left. Charles Bediako did leave 2 years into his college career. So he was a sophomore when he left.
Did Mosley have eligibility left?
I don't think so.
Do you think they could maybe get him a red shirt for that season? He didn't play much.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it is totally wild that the thing like this can happen, but I don't know. That's the stance I'm taking. I'm not necessarily going to blame Alabama for
I am
choosing.
You can still have the integrity and not do it. Just like I blamed Baylor for taking Najee.
Yeah.
I blame Louisville for taking that G League guard. Any team that does this is ridiculous.
The funny hypothetical. So I have seen this posted many times that Charles Bediako, it is literally written down that the NCAA cannot punish Alabama in any way in terms of a postseason ban or foregoing wins or anything like that if he plays. But the funny hypothetical that Payton gave to me the other day was that what if the selection committee on Selection Sunday, say Alabama doesn't win the SEC, doesn't get auto bid, and they just don't put them in the tournament and then make the argument that their resume just wasn't strong enough? Like maybe they're ranked 18th in the country. And they're just like, it was a tough year. There was a strong field. Sorry, maybe next year. And then what pandemonium would ensue from that? I've had that was a funny thought to me. Is if they're totally good enough to get an at-large bid, but the NCAA tournament committee was just like, we didn't like their resume. We thought 17 and 15 Oklahoma State deserved it more. But maybe next year. Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. I know there was the screenshot of the ESPN article that literally says he's foregoing the rest of his college eligibility. You can't write that now when guys declare for the draft. You can't do it, clearly. So, yeah, we'll see what unfolds. I did see Payton. Baylor is 1-5 since Najee's come back. They've kind of
heartbroken for them.
Yeah.
Payton, could you imagine a world, because I was thinking about this, where a high school baseball player foregoes college eligibility, goes into the MLB draft, gets drafted, gets released a couple years later because it doesn't pan out, and then goes back to college baseball and then tries to get back into the pros after that, back in the minor leagues?
I mean, well, it would have logistical problems. He'd probably be 33 by the time he gets.
He was a high schooler, though. That's the thing I'm talking about. So it's like a 4 or 5 year thing, and so you would be 20.
Then you're 22. You leave. You go back to college until you're 26. Then you go back to the minor leagues. Then maybe you're 30 in this hypothetical.
That's true.
That's pretty late, but I mean, it's still that's weird stuff that's happened before. I mean, Hayden Hurst was a MLB prospect, played in the minor leagues, I believe, and then went to football at South Carolina, and then wound up being a Ravens draft pick. Pandemonium. It's all ridiculous.
It's wild. Yeah, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there, but it's all very, very interesting. Guardrails. It just needs to be a further push for there needs to be some control around this stuff. Because you're reaching new levels of what teams are going to be able to do. My jersey of the week, I'm giving it to Mose Phillips. He, of course, entered the transfer portal a week ago, maybe, for Mizzou. I'm sure Kenny will know the exact day. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he found a new home. He is going to the darkest skies in America, Stillwater, Oklahoma, where he will be an Oklahoma State Cowboy. I feel like this is a pretty good landing spot for Mose Phillips in his final year of eligibility. I feel like he's going to play a lot there. rebuilding Oklahoma team. They got rid of Gundy. What's the new coach's name? The North Texas guy?
Eric Morris.
So I feel like this is that's a nice landing spot for Mose Phillips, getting to play power 4 ball still and contribute for a rebuilding Oklahoma State team.
Interesting tenure. Oh, go ahead.
He wanted those dates. He entered on the 14th, committed to Oklahoma State on the 18th.
Thank you.
It was an interesting tenure for Mose Phillips. I mean, he came in. A lot of people thought he'd kind of maybe jockey for playing time right away. He really didn't. And I noticed like during the UMass game against Homecoming, he was out there with like all the young guys, like just kind of mop up duty. And then he did kind of play later on in the year, and I kind of thought he might start next year, but winds up giving himself almost certainly a guaranteed starting job at Oklahoma State.
Best of luck to Mose.
I like no
Phillips.
cap, and he's the main bird.
Sean East introduces our next segment. Oh, Kenny, do you have another thing on Mose Phillips?
No, it's my turn to talk.
Okay, sorry. I thought I clicked off the tab and you hadn't changed the tab on the computer yet. I thought you had another Mose Phillips thing. Sorry. What is your Sean East main bird of the week?
My Sean East main bird of the week goes to Damon Wilson II, who committed to Miami on Thursday when we're recording this. We talk about like one of the worst kept secrets. It felt like that's where he was going to go this past week. LSU was in the picture. Texas Tech was in the picture at certain points. But he's going to end up at Miami, finishing out his college career in the state of Florida, where he's from. Went to Venice High School. My bird connection, it's a stork. That's the Miami mascot. The cane.
Yeah. I think a cane is a bird.
No,
crane. I'm thinking a crane.
It's a stork. That's the bird.
I know what you're talking about, Kenny. I think it is a stork.
I thought it was a crane. Hurricane.
It is a crane.
I think it's. I thought it was.
It's a stork.
Somebody look it up. I don't know.
I'll look it up right now.
All right, do it. This is. I mean, Miami's D line. You saw it. It was nasty.
Oh, we're all wrong. It's an ibis. Oh, I love ibises. What a cool bird. That is good for Miami. That's awesome.
Ooh, wiki dark mode. Nice, Kenny.
Kenny's looking to see an ibis on top of a type
doesn't
of
even
bird.
have. He was Command F searching stork.
Kenny, an ibis is a bird.
I know, but I was hoping it would say like he's also considered a stork.
He may be an ibis, but he's also considered
like that looks like a stork.
It does look like a stork. I will grant you that.
Well, it's an ibis. Look up an ibis. Look, that's an ibis.
Yeah,
that is more.
It does look like that.
What Miami Sebastian looks like.
Yeah, bird love.
Ibis.
That's fair.
GG.
Kenny, can we get an impression of ibis in that photo there?
It's just the same thing. It's just the same. I mean, obviously, that's a very good landing spot for Damon Wilson.
All right, shut up. Because you guys got to eat some crow about Jason Crowe. Because my bird of the week is once again going to be Jason Crowe Jr. He was named the Hoop Hall Classic top performer for the entire tournament. He was the Rivals MVP, not just for one day, folks, the entire day. You see, Kenny and Jack have removed themselves from the screen out of pure shame.
Didn't touch the screen.
Because they're not here anymore, because they can't face the facts.
Payton put himself front and center.
Is going to start on opening night, and he is going to save Missouri basketball.
Do we know who Mizzou plays on opening night next year?
No.
I looked that up. Okay.
No, we don't know yet.
Jack. I can give you a couple guesses.
Jack, Kyle McCreevy or McCreevy. Oh man, I always get it wrong. From Mizzou today, he brought it up to me. He was like, "I like the bit that you guys do with Payton, where you say Jason Crowe isn't going to start the first game of the year." And I was like, "I don't think it's a bit. I think there is a world where he might not start."
There's a case. There's absolutely a case. I have no doubt about it.
This is like, so to me, it's too different though. And again, we keep having the same conversation about this. Like, if he doesn't start Jason Crowe, like, let's assume Missouri does not make the tournament this year, because it seems likely. He is going to really have the fan base on him. Do you know what it is going to look like if the 5-star freshman, the only real reason people are thinking you're back is not in the opening night lineup.
Well,
It's going to be a horrible look.
You know what?
People should rightfully be mad if he isn't.
I'll be all in that he is going to start if Missouri schedules like North Carolina to open the season. You can get a marquee freshman battle between him and whoever the hell they're recruiting.
They're not playing North Carolina. They're going to play North Carolina Central.
And you know what? Jason Crowe doesn't need to start against NC Central.
He does.
No, I don't. I mean, does he? I can just bring him off the bench.
They're going to play like UNC Green. They'll play UNC. It'll be UNC Greensboro.
It says he's a 4-star.
USC Upstate. I think the
5-star in other places.
My main bird of the week. My main bird of the week. We're staying in college basketball. It's going to be the Red Hawks of Miami, Ohio. We got both the Miamis on the main birds this week. I just realized that. Kenny, listening ears on, please. You've been asked to be briefed on the intel of college basketball and what else is going on, folks. You all need to know about Miami of Ohio. Missouri might not make the tournament, but if you want a fun Cinderella team to root for, the Red Hawks are it. They're undefeated. I think 19-0 now. Payton, correct me if I'm wrong. They've gone to 20. Are they 20 now?
They beat Kent State.
They have gone to overtime in their last 2 games. You can see based on this one against Buffalo, they had a 2% chance to win. They won in overtime. They beat Kent State in overtime. Their coach is coming out to pressers and saying, rank us or play us. He's doing that whole thing. It's a great story. It's so fun. They're undefeated. I hope they outlast. Who else, Kenny? Who else is undefeated still?
Arizona.
Yep.
Yes.
One more.
There's still one more?
Crap.
What conference?
Big Ten.
Oh man, we talked
Big
about
Ten.
this.
Our friend Chase, Kenny.
Oh,
Daniel
Nebraska
Payton.
still. Wow.
Yep. Nebraska's still undefeated.
Well,
It's the
I've
three
got
of them
some
left.
college basketball facts for you guys.
Ooh,
If you
I love
guys
college
want some. I learned some
basketball.
things. So like you said, Miami, Ohio is ranked for the first time this year. Who else is ranked for the first time this year from the mid-major level?
That would be the St. Louis Billikens.
That is correct. And I have one more question for you guys about the AP poll. Tennessee basketball is unranked for the first time in how many seasons?
Oh God.
Tennessee? Unranked for the first time since
12.
Whoa, that's way too long.
That I thought it was that long, but it's not. I
6.
just looked it up.
They had a couple bad years. Like they haven't always been a straight powerhouse under Barnes. Like they're great under Barnes, but I'll go like I can't remember what year like Schofield, Bone, and Williams, all those guys were there. I'm gonna say 17.
It is 5 seasons. So this will be the first time in 5 seasons. So
That
that's
is
2022, 2023. Right?
That's that's too
So
long.
2022, 2023.
Dennis Gates has been here for
2023,
4
2020.
years, and that's since 22-23.
Oh, well, they in the article it said 2022 to 2023 was
So that's
when
like
they started
4
the
years.
streak.
Yeah. Well, that's a good fact.
That is
Kenny.
a good
Well done.
fact. I told you I didn't think Tennessee was all that this year.
Yeah, I wasn't super much of a
I
believer
also
either.
picked Kentucky to win the conference, so we'll ignore that part.
I think I picked Charles Bediaco Basketball Club, actually. Miami's awesome. Everyone watch Miami. They are
Miami is fun, but last note on them, I think they're the McNeese State, not of last year, but of 2 years ago, where they're the popular 12-5. I think they're a flame out.
Maybe.
Unfortunately, they go to overtime all the time. Like, I think that's a flame out
The
candidate.
problem is if they keep winning, they're going to get a lot higher than a 12 seed.
Right now, they'd be like a 10 seed if they went undefeated, which I don't think they're going to do.
Maybe. What's the best thing you learned, Payton?
Best thing I learned this week, Missouri has hired yet another, I believe this is a new assistant. It seems like a new position. This comes from Pete Thamel, who broke the news. Northern Illinois offensive line coach Luke Meadows has accepted the assistant offensive line job at Missouri. He's coached offensive line at FAU, Southern Miss, Eastern Michigan, Kansas, and Troy. So he flipped sides of the battle line. I wonder, I didn't look this up, but Troy, I do wonder if he might have been on Chip Lindsey's staff. So maybe there's familiarity there. But
You have my post notice on.
yeah, well, I don't look at my phone every moment of the day.
Okay. So yeah, one thing I want to point out. This looks like a GOP graphic, doesn't it? Like this is like a crazy photo of a coach.
My favorite reply is the guy Foster down there, whose handle, by the way, is oh no, disaster, which is great. He said, "Congrats at Mike Golick Jr." Which I think
Yeah, it does look like Mike Golick. So yeah, he was on the same staff as Chip Lindsey at Troy. He came in as the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach. And I texted you guys that I said, I don't know why I know his name. I sent you a screenshot of my search history from a month ago.
I did.
And it was because of a story I did with why am I blanking on his name already? Who was the quarterback that went to Troy, Payton?
Powell?
Yeah, sorry, Taylor Powell. I did a story with him, and he brought up Meadows, who came in and was the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. They did a bunch of 12 personnel, really expanded the roles of the tight ends and fullbacks. So I'm intrigued to see how that one kind of fits. And this isn't a new role, Payton. It's filling Jack Abercrombie's role, who left for
of course,
Washington State.
Okay, makes sense.
There's also
12 personnel. Buy your Jordan Harris stock.
Jordan
Harris.
Yeah,
Little Rock.
Good hire for Mizzou.
Zebras.
Kenny, what'd you learn?
Best thing I learned this week, I learned this one from Payton. Shamar McNeil, former Missouri cornerback, is heading to Akron. He's committed there.
Yeah, someone tweeted it. I forget his name. I'm sorry, I can't give credit.
But it's on his On3 Rivals account, so he's headed to Akron.
I mean, this is an interesting pipeline. There's been a few guys that have gone to Akron, right?
Max Wisner
went there. Maybe I'm just thinking of the MAC in general.
There's
There's definitely a MAC thing.
Nicholson went to Kent. Jelani Williams went to Kent.
Travion Ford?
Yeah, he went to Toledo, didn't he?
Toledo, yeah.
Connor Bazelak ended up by
Montgomery
Bowling
went
Green.
to Ball State, I think.
Yeah. Drew Pine.
Yeah.
Let's
keep going. Austin Dendy. I think he was the leading rusher at
Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Bazelak via Indiana.
Is Middle Tennessee in the MAC?
No.
Oh, okay.
CUSA.
Okay.
This guy loves Justin Bodford updates.
I was thinking of Ryan Horsecamp. I wasn't even thinking of Justin Bodford.
He blocked me on Twitter, and I don't know why. I've never tweeted about Ryan Horsecamp.
I think because you were really negative your senior year.
Oh my God, dude. Sorry. They sucked in 2022.
You want to talk about your interaction with Ryan or with Marcus Clarkstad?
No, I don't.
Oh Lord, we'll move on.
It wasn't anything that bad, folks.
My bad. I
did not like that I was not happy at the Gasparilla Bowl.
Which most people weren't. My best thing I learned is that you apparently can't block the Ad Block Plus thing because Kenny can't click off of it. He keeps trying.
Nice browser extension.
He kept hitting the X and it wasn't going away. That was so distracting. So obviously we haven't recorded a show since, we recorded it on Sunday, came out Monday, which is a little bit inconvenient. But guys, Indiana won the effing national championship in football, and I'm making that the best thing I learned because this is the greatest sporting feat achieved in our lifetimes. I don't think there is anything that comes all that close. And what, Kenny? What comes close? Give me something.
The 2004 Red Sox and the 2016 Cubs.
Disagree. I don't think either of those two things were at all harder than what Cignetti has done at Indiana.
Oh.
Did you look up what happened with those 2004 Red Sox. They were down 3-0 to the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Is a 4-game.
Well, that was still a really good.
Is a 4-game turnaround in a championship series?
Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm now going to have to hop off the bandwagon. I'm going to have to agree with Knowlton now.
I think okay, maybe fine. Maybe feat's not the right way to put it. You can debate that. I think it's the greatest sports story of our lifetime.
Before we continue this, 2020, I disagree with that too, but I actually disagree with that. But 2020 Astros, if they had overcome the 03, where would that be for you, Kenny?
That was one of the worst constructed baseball teams. I'm not trying to, say anything bad about those guys, but if you look at that bullpen, I think there's one guy still in the major leagues from that team, and that was 5 seasons ago. I think that would be the number one team if they came back.
James,
I think Brian Abreu is the only guy left.
We're
in the
losing viewers fast. Let's get back to college football.
What's a better story in our lifetimes than this?
That
2000
Red Sox and the Cubs. That is way better of a story than Indiana winning the national title. No disrespect to Indiana. It is one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in sports. But those were two of the most infamous sports droughts. They were modern, pop culture things.
Yeah. Especially the Red
nobody
Sox
cared about Indiana until this
2 years ago.
Yeah. I would argue, and again, I'm a much less of a baseball fan than you two are. Indiana's never had a drought. They've never been anything. They had won 6 bowl games all time, and 3 of them were in this run.
But I think the droughts make it more of a novelty.
It's a Big Ten school with a giant donor base and an excellent head coach that won a national title. It's a great story. It's not the greatest story of our lifetimes.
I think it is.
What about the 2013 Red Sox?
I'm going to agree to disagree.
Okay, no. Now we're making this a Red Sox palooza. Why? Because they hated Bobby Valentine the year before?
It was the bombing. It was that World Series meant everything to that city.
That's fair. That's a good spin on it. I didn't think about that.
This is not where I thought we were going to go.
But no, this is not the greatest story. We have to remember, this is still a Big Ten team with enormous, it's not like the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors just won the national championship.
They've had more success probably all time than Indiana has.
No.
I you know what my favorite one is? I think this tops it when Duke beat Wisconsin in the national championship.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That was one of the best ones.
When Malcolm Butler intercepted Russell Wilson at the goal line, all
right. I'm going to just read their bets for FanDuel. We're moving on. Best beats of the week. Shout out to FanDuel. I'm glad you guys gave me some debate on that, though.
I think it's maybe one of the greatest national champions ever. But I can't get there with greatest sports story ever.
What about when the Dodgers were really banged up in 2018 and they came back and beat the Brewers in the NLCS to go to the
your
World
damn
Series?
bet. Thank you to FanDuel.
Ulysses Chassin was our Game 1 NLCS starter. We're the Milwaukee Brewers. Don't count us plucky underdogs out. Oh, they traded Freddie Peralta yesterday. Anyways, my best beat of the week is going to be the Patriots by 4.5. Yeah, if you really short people. Patriots by 4.5 over the Broncos this weekend in the AFC title game. You could give me this line by 12.5, and I'd feel comfortable with the Patriots. I don't believe Jarrett Stidham has what it takes. I'll give Sean Payton credit. He could probably make anyone look like a competent quarterback, but in this
he gave him an extension. He believes
in this stage, in this setting, a guy with 4 career starts and none of them mattered. This is just not something that is going to go well.
Peyton, Tom Brady never won at Mile High. You think Drake May is going to do it? I don't know. I'm with you, by the way. But
right.
Jack, you go next then, because you're in the same game.
Okay, I'm just going to be fun. I'm going to live in the fantasy world where Jarrett Stidham does have a good game. I'm taking his over in passing yard. It's 198.5. I don't believe in this bet at all, but I'm going to just do it because if it happens, I think it'd be very funny to bring up next show. So that's it. I'm kind of doing a throwaway potentially on this, but screw it. Sean Payton gave him an extension. It's playoff football. Maybe something crazy happens. or he will get absolutely eaten alive by that Pats defense, and nothing will happen, in which case I won't be shocked. But you know what? I'm going to believe in being shocked. And you know what? That'll be the greatest sports story of our lifetimes if he beats the Patriots.
I don't even think it's the greatest Broncos sports story of our lifetimes. You remember that game, Payton, where Tim Tebow had that pass in overtime against the Steelers? I think that's better than the Indiana one.
I thought of another great sports story when Jurgen Klopp retired as a manager of Liverpool. That is one of the greatest sports stories I've ever seen.
I'm running out of energy.
When they lost 1-6 to Stoke City in 2015, that is one of the greatest sports stories ever.
What about when Bayer Leverkusen, after I jumped on the bandwagon randomly, never lost a game in an entire year?
Hey, they could get Jobby back.
Yeah, they could get. He's a free agent now. Left Real Madrid. I should have made that my best thing I learned. Good for him. That club is a clown show. I
gotta find that jersey. I don't know where it is.
That is insane. That is insane that we did that gimmick for a season and then they never lost. That was pretty unbelievable. What's your best beat of the week, Kenny?
I had to go with something Rams. There wasn't anything prop wise for Mevis, but I'm going to say Rams plus 2.5. I wanted it to be minus 2.5 because I feel like that would be cool if they win on a field goal and they cover like they did against the Bears. No offense, Payton. I hope you liked the email I sent. But I'm going to take the Rams plus 2.5.
I mean, I'm rooting vehemently against this bet, but
so am I. Go Hawks.
So, but yeah, thanks, Payton. But Kenny doesn't like when our teams succeed, so it fits his brand.
Right. You know what, Knowlton? We should come together and band against Kenny. And remember great sports moments such as this past year's NLCS where the Brewers lost every single game by about 50 runs.
True friendship is when you go against your best pals teams. I think that's what it is. That's true friendship. That's what it's meant to be. And I'm sorry I don't root for y'all's teams. If anything, I do have a little.
For you to succeed.
I like the Cubs, Payton. I've rooted for the Cubs. My mom lived in Chicago. I got a soft spot for your Cubs and your Bears. I liked the Bulls a little bit.
So you don't root against his teams?
No, I just like his teams a little bit more than yours. I do not like your teams whatsoever. Like none of them. I'm sorry. I didn't even care about the Bucks until I met you.
Joke.
Until I met
Knowlton,
you.
I have a real reason to dislike your teams if it makes you feel
well.
better.
Yeah, I mean, I get your.
So do I.
No, you don't.
No. I have one. But the Brewers were a rival of the Astros for most of my childhood. And when a hurricane hit the Astros, they went up to Milwaukee and played them. And the Brewers were like, "Oh, you guys can be the home team. Only trade off, we're gonna no-hit you." On the day that I was sick. I was laying in bed with my dad. He was taking care of me because I was sick, and I had to watch that. And I had to go to the dentist.
Do you remember Carlos Zambrano no hitting you?
Yes, I was. I remember laying in bed, and I was like ill, and I would just remember like laying there with my dad watching the Astros get no hit.
It made him.
I was confused. I was really confused why the Astros were playing in Milwaukee to begin with.
Hurricane Ike, right? That was the one. Okay.
Yep. That year, I didn't have power on my birthday. So we went to the aquarium.
That's cool. I love the aquarium. I'd go right now. You want to go to the aquarium?
That felt like a Tim Robinson sketch. I love the aquarium. I'd go right now.
The aquarium, the zoo. I love animals.
Club Aqua.
Creatures.
I built the back deck at Club Aqua.
This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, why did the watch go on vacation?
Why did the watch
to snooze? I don't know.
Oh, that's not a bad guess. It feels like an alarm clock.
I don't know why I said that.
Because he could tell it was time for a vacation.
Why did the watch go on vacation? To unwind.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Thank you, Sarah Lemire.
You could apply that for a couple of things, like a yo-yo or I don't know, like a bike chain or something.
I've been watching a lot of the Today Show.
I was trying to cut him off before he started talking.
Did you hear it? Did you hear what I said or no?
You've been watching a lot of the Today Show, you say?
I have, yeah. There's a lot of Peyton's favorite weatherman.
Al Roker.
Al, he's the man.
Al Roker
It's
White
not
House.
weird to have a favorite weatherman, by the way.
I think it's incredibly weird.
It's not. Do you have a
That's
favorite?
not weird.
news
That's
anchor?
not weird. I stand with you, Peyton. I stand with you.
You and
He's
Zach do the
everyone's
same.
favorite
Only two.
weatherman. Your favorite weatherman should not be the national guy. That's like saying, "Oh, my favorite
Mine
baseball."
was Jim Cantori for a long time.
The GOAT.
Jim Cantori's the man.
The GOAT.
Gary Lezak, shout out Gary Lezak in Kansas City. Brian Busby also up there for me. Yeah, I got favorite weatherman.
I respect this, Peyton.
You and Zach are the only two that have ever said it's weird.
That doesn't.
I
Get
only
pushed
know
back.
one weatherman. Like I remember the faces growing up, but I know Cheetah Johnson is because that was a pretty unique name.
That's a unique name. It's a cool name. I'm really hoping that this incessant trolling gives me some good karma for Sunday, but we'll see. Yeah, no, put that down. Thank you for watching The Unwritten Rule. We will be back Monday. We will record Sunday and be back Monday. We will talk about Mizzou, Oklahoma. We will talk about, this is hard to focus balancing this on my head while I outro. We'll talk about Mizzou, Oklahoma. We'll probably talk about some more transfers. It's falling off. And we'll have some more great quick hits. And, because I certainly still love this segment after today. Thank you for watching, everybody, and listening and subscribing. We love you all, and we'll see you next time.